You're all familiar with that saying, no risks, no reward. Or as the ex-NFL coach Bruce Arians used to say, no risk it, no biscuit. Let's see how this works in project management. Let me give you an example. If we define risk as anything that stands in the way of project success, then what a project manager does is remove those barriers as they arise so the project manager can steer the project to a successful outcome. Now, if there were no risk, that means projects would just happen on their own and there would not be a need for project managers. So because there are risks in the project, you need a project manager to guide the project, steer them through those risks, and succeed in spite of them. Therefore, the project manager earns a reward in the form of a salary. But if those risks didn't exist, there wouldn't be any opportunity for a reward. That's how it works. So we're discussing risk this week as one of our topics. You will notice that in the Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge, there is significant information about risk identification. And this is because risks are very difficult to see. And in fact, the risk that is most likely to become a problem is the one you didn't think about. And one reason for this is often very big risk, huge disasters start very small and create a cascading series of events that become larger and larger and larger. For example, the crash of the Air France jet from Brazil to Paris several years ago. Why did the plane crash? Well, the airspeed indicator or pitot tube froze up. It seems like a small thing, but when that froze up, there was no airspeed indication to the automatic pilot flight control system because the flight control system was not aware of how fast the plane was going. Then when that happened, the pilots got confused because they also didn't know what the airspeed was, and it led to human errors, which led to disasters. So think about it. When you identify risk, that's probably one of the more challenging aspects of project risk management because they're so hard to see, especially those small things that tend to add up and become very big things until you've got a big disaster on your hand. Then once you've identified risk, you assess the risk in terms of the probability, the chances it might occur, and the impact that it makes should it occur. And you rank risk in order based on that probability and impact. And then once you have done that, first of all, why do you assess and rank it? Because you can't control everything. You can't pay attention to everything. So you want to look at those risks that are highest in probability and impact scores. Those are the ones that deserve your strongest attention. Then once you've done that, I use an acronym called MART. Mitigate, avoid, retain, and transfer. Mitigate is doing something that reduces the impact of risk. Avoid, if the risk is just too much, you may not do that or do that portion of a project or may not even do the project. If the risk is small, you may retain or hold on to it. Or finally, you may compromise and use insurance as a form of risk transfer, compensating someone to accept risk on your behalf. Or you may use contractual means so you can allow maybe a supplier to supply resources to your project to share the risk of the cost of development. So these are some things to think about in risk this week, and I'll see you in the discussion threads.